Welcome back, everyone. This is Mr. Brain, your friendly neighborhood gaming dad, here with another video. And this is going to be on one that I don't have. But this question comes thanks to Dimitri Berryben890 on YouTube asking me if I can do a hero breakdown of Sven. So, despite me not having him, because I'm an infantry focused person and he is both Rider and Siege, things I don't normally do, I'm going to do the best that I can, and I'm going to break it down in my usual fashion. I'll go over his skills, how he's used in combat, a good talent tree build for him, and commanders you should pair him with in order to get the best out of him. With that being said, let's get on with it. First things first, direct damage factor of 12,000, completely respectable. Second part's a little confusing for me. Considering he's primarily a siege commander, I know you can use him in the open field. It seems kind of dumb to use a travel speed buff on him because the tower's not moving. The shelter's not moving, or at least I hope it's not. So, I mean, if you wanted to try and use him to hunt down players that are trying to run away, I could see it being used for that, but otherwise, I don't see a lot of point to having that one there. They could have traded this out for something with a bit more utility. Second skill, nice 40% buff, 20 to attack, 20 to defense. This is in the stage of heroes where they're getting 40% buffs without gimmicks, without having to ask nicely or to have specific troops in their party. Just a flat 40%. I mean, you have some of the early commanders, such as Catherine, who's able to get the 25% plus an additional 12 if you ask nicely and pair her with Cynthia. Otherwise, you're stuck with a 25% buff. But you've got Sven down here getting a straight 40 for free. Very nice. Then you've got Wild Hunter. When leading only rider squads, damage taken is reduced by up to 15%. This is nice. Damage reduction and damage are pretty flat numbers. Because there's not a lot of ways to buff this, you can expect that 15% to be really close to 15%. It'll be a little bit less depending on how much you've stacked, but this is really nice. And then you've got his fourth skill, reduces damage taken by up to 12% during siege, and basic attacks have a 20% chance to deal about half a round's damage. 1100 damage factor is going to be about a half a round's worth of damage. But that 12% stacks additively with this 15%. So if you run full riders in siege, that is a damage reduction of 27%. So you can expect about a quarter of the damage that you would have been taking to just be gone. And do a little bit of extra damage in the process. Last skill reduces counter damage taken by 20%. And this gives credence to him being primarily a siege commander. This isn't if you want to think of it this way, during siege, counter damage is primarily what you're going to be taking because infantry commanders tend to do counter damage, or at least higher counter damage. There are some exceptions because people do run Lewis, obviously, but you've got Thunder here, who, when garrisoning, where is it? Increases counter damage by 22% when garrisoned. You've got Raigoro, increases squad counter damage by 30%. We just picked up 2 new heroes. One of them is entirely designed for counter damage. But here you have Sven reducing that number by 20%. So if you're taking skill damage, it's still going to hit full force, but that counter damage from regular rounds of combat is going to take a nice chunk right off the top. And it is additive with the other bonuses. So keep that in mind. With that, he can be used in open field, but he's still one of the best siege commanders to be used in the game. Him with his partner is still one of the most devastating rallies you can have thrown at you, regardless of what you have garrisoned. I don't know what it would be like on equal footing. I know that fight will take forever, but Sven on rallies is a good go-to. And because of that travel speed buff, you can use him in the open field with another fast partner in order to get that skill off and make sure that they don't get away from you. A 50% increase for 5 seconds is pretty substantial, and with the other commanders in the game that can also increase travel speed, kind of ensures that if you're chasing someone down, they're not getting away. As far as talent trees, because he doesn't have a buff in his active skill, and because of how he's used, he's not going to be your lead. You can make him your lead, but you're going to suffer because of his talent trees. The siege tree just isn't that good. It's not worth it, in my opinion, to put him as the lead for this siege tree. The rider squad, kind of nice. The support tree has some good rage and defensive bonuses and a minor heal, I believe. No, that's a healing buff. But otherwise, it's not that great. So he kind of got shafted on the talent tree side of things. But that's not what we're using him for. But just to make sure that we are on the same page here, let's head into another rider squad's talents so we can get an idea of what we're going to be going for. You're going to want that extra damage in battle, because a lot of riders have hit and run tactics, and weakening the enemy as much as possible before you back off is always helpful. So make sure you get up there to max out that tree. With the support tree, first one that comes to mind is Lee. Make sure you're picking up rage generation. Rage is still so important in this game that if you're not picking up the rage generation buffs from whatever tree they happen to be in, you're making some poor choices elsewhere. So pick up that additional 90 rage per skill, because that is per skill, so it's 180, almost 2 seconds off. Paired with this alone means you're getting at least 2 seconds off the skill cycle, and that's going to cover most of the talents that you need for Sven if you decide to run him as a leader. With that being said, I tried to avoid saying who his optimal pair is, but most of you already know who it is. It's Bella. Bella, with her insane ability to increase damage for herself and damage dealt to the enemy, pairs really well with Sven, especially on Siege, because this is a 3-second increase to damage. It's going to cover his skill damage, and it likely will cover additional damage factor caused by Sven. With Sven's damage reduction and Bella dealing most of the damage, if you have even a slight advantage in equipment and gear for riders over your enemy, you're going to make quick work of most towers. It's just that powerful of a combo. If you wanted to go the speed route, you could pair him with Cynthia. However, there are definitely better options for speed, Bella being one of them. Bella has a straight 30% increase to her speed whenever she's not in combat, and doesn't require activation of a skill. So, to be perfectly honest, I believe Bella is not only his best, but really his only decent pairing. There's just better options for the other heroes he could be paired with, so running Bella Sven on sieges is his primary and most effective use. And with that, if you're watching this video for the first time, know that you could have watched this content over on my Patreon page 24 hours ago. And if you want to get that content just a little bit sooner, head on over, subscribe to my page. Also, I am making sure that all of my videos get uploaded to my Discord page, which I will leave a link to that Discord page in the comments below, so that you can come over and watch the videos as soon as they get published, even for those who aren't Patreon subscribers. With that, this is Mr. Brain, your friendly neighborhood gaming dad, signing off.